Hello, I am Certified Moth. Ignore all the stuff on my bed. Today I am going to be making a painting for a class. My painting class. What? That's unheard of, making a painting for a painting class. Yeah, the project is interference and superimposed imagery. That's cool. We're using like photo transfers combined with painting. I'm gonna be making it on this canvas. It's like 3 by 4 feet. That's a lot of fun. That's really awesome. I've just done a little bit of preliminary sketching. Hold on, they're in here somewhere. Yeah, not much. I want my subject to be a dead deer. And then the images I want to impose over it. I've got pictures of the city and they look a lot smaller now that they're printed off, but oh well, I'll probably have to print more off. Whatever. Yeah. Basically my general idea for the piece was just the way that urbanization impacts populations of animals around where I live, especially deer. Yeah. Oh, also, to do the image transfer, I've got to use this matte medium. I didn't have to get the gold and stuff, but it was recommended. And you know how much this is? This is $51 Canadian. So yeah, here I am doing the image transfers. That's so fun. Basically, the style of image transfer is it's like a gel transfer, so I am using matte medium, which is essentially just acrylic paint with no pigment added in, and I am covering the image with that matte medium, and then after it's dried, I will wash the paper off in water, and the ink and the pattern, like the picture, sticks to the matte medium and the paper washes off, so you have like a fairly see-through image. It's like a pretty labor-intensive image transfer process. I've tried it before. It's like, I don't really think it's anything that I'll regularly include in my process, but it was interesting to play around with using like photos, like actual photos in my paintings, which I try to not include too much photorealism in, just because I'm not the biggest fan of photorealism, so that was an interesting thing to try out. I actually don't think I recorded literally any footage of me actually cleaning the paper off, because that process, I'm not the biggest fan of it. It's just like, it took so long for results that honestly half the time weren't even any good. Yeah, it was kind of brutal, but like, you know, I ended up having fun with it anyways, even though I didn't love every part of the process, so that's something, I guess. So yeah, I'm kind of dumb, I'm kind of stupid. I did not realize that the list said to print off stuff that was of like different subjects to experiment with. So, I mean, I did print some more field things, but then I also printed a car, hay, flowers and trees, and then a deer and more grass. I don't know, I'm probably not going to use these ones even, but she said to print more off, so I did. And I've used several dollars of my printer credits already. I don't want, I ran out of printer credits, I don't know how to get more. Whatever, I still have like $17 left to spend this year. Please let it last. I also got all my images collected in this bin because when I'm doing the part where I soak them in water tomorrow, we were supposed to bring a bin for it. And I also realized I didn't print off enough medium images, so I had to get more medium-sized ones. Lame! But also I specifically printed off the ones that were straw so that I could cut them into smaller ones and give myself more medium images to work with. Let's go. Awesome. Yippee! Those other images that I printed off are literally irrelevant. Yeah, it just ended up being that I didn't want to use them, so whatever. I guess I just wasted my money for nothing. I'm being dramatic. Prints aren't that, like, printing a page is not that expensive at my school. Yeah, but then I got on to the actual sketching process for the painting. I had this reference photo that I took at home over like the summer. I was mowing at one of my family's yards. We have a farm, and I went into one of the old barns and there was just like this dead deer laying on the ground in it. Yeah, but I thought it was like kind of a sick reference because you see like that huge gaping hole in the side of it was like, I don't know what happened, why it was like that, but like it had completely rotted or like been eaten away at on the side, and you could see its ribs poking out, but also it still had all its fur intact, which is also really cool. I don't know, but I was really thrilled to have an opportunity to paint this reference because I have been thinking about it literally all summer. Lately, I've been pretty into just sketching right in with paint, but for this one I actually decided to go in with my projector that I bought and some Conte, partly just because it's a big canvas and scaling images up is really hard for me. I usually work small scale in my sketchbook, so trying to paint big pictures has been tricky, and also just because it's a deer and I don't trust, like, I think I've painted a deer once before in my life and it was a long time ago, so I just don't really trust that I know the anatomy of it well enough to go in without any prior sketching. But I ended up having so much fun with this sketch, like this Conte that is then sort of blended out using matte medium. Super fun. I loved the way it looked, and I think it really encouraged me to work with a bit more like layers and transparency in this painting. Yeah, super fun, super awesome. Also, I don't know how the footage of this looks sped up, but if you ever see any moment in this video where like I am moving so strangely and so weirdly, I was probably like dancing and bouncing along to the music, because whenever I'm working at home instead of in the studio, I am always listening to music and dancing and singing. It's so much fun, so silly, so awesome, but it kind of looks weird on camera, which I do recognize. So yeah, I know I kind of already mentioned the like project, what it's about, but I thought I'd go a bit more into like detail about the class itself. It is my painting methodologies and methods class, which is basically just a class where you're being introduced to new methods of painting, and then you're kind of asked to like try out these methods of painting and also include them with your own methodology. So like we're not really being taught any methodology in the class, it's just kind of expected that we're like part of the process is trying to figure out how to combine these new methods with our current methodology, if that makes sense. I didn't really know what it was going into this class. I just didn't want to take the other classes because they sounded kind of boring in comparison to this. And I have really been enjoying this so far. It's been taking me outside my comfort zone, which has been pretty cool, pretty awesome. I love it, so awesome. I also really enjoy my professor for this class. She's really cool. Also, my roommate took this video of me while I was drawing, kind of rude, kind of disrespectful. Trying to do fucking image transfers right now. God, look at this shit. It's not working! I did find with this one that after I cleaned most of the paper off and then used some matte medium on it, it seemed to work better. I don't know why this is recording so weirdly right now, yeah, it's really a painful process, not a fan of it. It takes fucking forever, man. It's also just like, look at the mess I made on my fridge. Ignore those magnets. But aw, look, it ended up being so worth it. You can tell I was really, really sick when I was taking these pictures because of all of like the cough drops and like tea and stuff in the background. I was really sick. It was unpleasant. Oh yeah, my roommate was also complaining because I had all these pictures stuck on the fridge. But guys, low-key, I didn't record anything for like the first probably, I don't know, probably 10 plus hours of this process, because a lot of it was in class, and I'm personally like, well, first of all, we aren't allowed to record in this class, but second of all, I think it's important to have some time where I'm not concerned with documenting my process. But I'm Unfortunately, that means like you can't see any of the painting process because I basically painted all of the background and the deer and everything for that in class and like when I didn't feel like recording. So yeah, like you don't even get to see the process of me putting on the images, but you got the process of me where I stole a whole bunch of fiber to then take apart and stick on it. So yeah, I do apologize that like the only part I recorded was probably the most boring part of the process, but like I said, I think it's just important to have studio time that is me time and where I'm not stressed about what I look like and what's happening with the painting and if it looks good or not, or if I'm doing the process right. Speaking of what I look like, I look like shit in this video, like this specific part of it. My hair was greasy, my face, I was breaking out. I had to put on this headband so that my hair wasn't in my face and it made my forehead look massive. My outfit was trash. It was like very much a lazy studio day, and those studios are hot as hell, so I wasn't wearing a shirt. Yeah, you know what? Sometimes you just gotta wear your trashy outfits in the studio. But anyways, I'll actually talk about like the painting process I'm doing right now. So I was taking apart a bunch of like threads and yarn that I had stolen from the fiber rooms and just putting them on the piece to add some like flow and texture, specifically because you can't really see it in this video, but these images do not lay flat. There's lots of bubbles and folds and like little bits that stick up weirdly. So I just thought, you know what, add a bunch more stuff and make it look like the texture is intentional. Yeah, so such a good idea on my part. I'm probably a genius. I should probably be paid like $5 million for being a genius so that I can keep being a genius. Yeah. I'm so smart, guys. I'm really humble too, if you couldn't tell. But yeah, even though I didn't record any of it, I do still want to talk about the process I used in this painting. So I worked a lot with water in this. The entire background is just these really thin washes where any color I put down, I'd immediately take my spray bottle and spray it like 3 times, let it drip, let it get all transparent, and I love this background so much. It's so yucky and nasty and dirty, and I adore it. I love it. You can't even really see many of the drips at this point, but I'm still kind of obsessed. And then for the actual deer, I also tried to work on really thin layers. I have a habit of working very thick layers, but I wanted to try something different, and honestly, I had so much fun with this. I started with just some like base coats, and then I mixed up a bunch of different shades of brown and added in like individual sort of hair textures, but like really thick. Like not thick as in the paint texture, but thick as in the brush stroke size. You get me? And honestly, I love this. Oh, I'm dancing. What the hell? What the freak? Whoa. Yeah, yeah, I thought this added like a really interesting texture to it in a way where I like wasn't trying to perfectly recreate what a deer's fur actually looks like, but I still got across that it's like something that has texture, because I think that's something I have. Oh my goodness, I'm dancing again. Whoa, what the flip? Ooh. Oh. I don't even know what I was listening to in this part of the video. Like, there's a good chance I wasn't listening to anything and I was just dancing for no reason. Yeah. Anyways, like I was saying, I feel like I struggle a lot with adding texture to my work. It's just something, I don't know, I was really obsessed with smooth, clean gradients when I was a little kid. And if you know much about acrylic paint, you know that's like, I mean, some people can do it, it's just so hard to make it look good and not nasty, I think. So I've really been trying to break out of that mindset, and I think I've gotten better in letting my work have brush strokes. But then in terms of going that extra step to actually add texture, like I think the biggest part where I struggle with that is when I'm drawing like textiles. I still have such a hard time not drawing textiles as this like smooth, clean, yucky, yucky. But yeah, I don't really know what else to talk about in terms of technique. I guess the image transfers, I just sort of like paired them together into little groups and tried to spread them across the canvas in a way that I thought was kind of aesthetically appealing. And then I thought they stood out a little bit too much, so I actually ended up going back at this point with like black and brown and blue paints and kind of extending some of the lines I could see in them out into the rest of the painting, and then also spraying those with water, really blending them out so they weren't super harsh. I thought that the like low point of this painting for me was kind of the fact that I don't think any of the images are particularly like well, what's the word? Like they're not super well integrated into the deer itself. I thought for sure I was gonna get called out for that in the critique, and thank goodness I didn't, because I don't know what I would have said to that. Like, yeah, they're all just kind of outside the deer. I didn't really consider, well, I mean, I did consider how I could combine them, but I didn't like any of my ideas on how to combine them, so I just let them be their own separate aspects. But like, you know, I like the way it looks. I'm not going to complain. I don't know, I think whatever I did with it, it was still good enough to get the point across. Like, in the critique it was sort of discussed whether like the metropolis or nature won. Obviously metropolis won in this picture, but yeah, I feel like the fact that that was like, it came across to literally everyone, I was like, okay, so I obviously did something right. Although I feel like the concept for this one wasn't particularly interesting. Like, oh my god, I can't believe that cities killing animals is bad. What? That's crazy. I don't know, it is something that is always very like clear in my mind, because like there's no way to, I think, exist, especially as someone like, I grew up in a very rural area, so I had to drive a lot, and like just the number of dead deer you see on the road, it's just so unavoidable, knowing how much we kind of fuck up everything by existing and needing to have vehicles and shit. And like, yeah, I actually ended up talking to someone in this class who like said, oh yeah, they hadn't seen that in the city, I think, as much as I'd seen it on the farm. And I was like, oh yeah, I do think that is probably a fair point. Like, they're probably really on top of getting rid of those corpses from the road, whereas out on the farm, they can be out there for a long time before they get moved away. Sometimes they just sit there for days and days. So I do think that it is something that I have a bit more personal experience with. You know, whatever. I still think the concept is like, whatever. But I ended up titling this one, thank god I didn't have to say it in class, because it's really embarrassing. It's titled The Way It Is, which, like, guys, it's so cringe. I'm sorry, it's so embarrassing. I can't handle it. But like, I was specifically thinking about how when you talk about people about this sort of thing, the general sort of conclusion that a lot of people come to is that like, yeah, it's sad, and like, it's sad that animals have to die, but it's just the way it is. There's nothing we can do about it. And like, I think that's so bullshit. The world is the way it is to support our lifestyles and habits. Like, we built the roads, we built the buildings, we destroyed these landscapes and environments and habitats for these animals. And like, I think it's our responsibility as the people who created and profit from these things to stop doing that. Or like, find alternatives so that we're not fucking everything up all the time. I don't know. So yeah, like, it's kind of a stupid title, but I do think it connects to a very specific conversation I want to be a part of. I don't know. This video is probably all over the place. This is unscripted. I am laying in my bed. The audio is probably horrible. I don't even know how well my iPad records audio. Whatever. At least you know it's coming from the heart. We're getting kind of close to the end of the video now, so I guess I'll just give some like final thoughts on the painting, what I think I could have done better, some self-critique. I think that there's definitely some issues with the anatomy of the deer. The problem is that when I took this picture, I was standing as far away as I possibly could from it because it really stunk and it was creepy and dark in the barn and I didn't want to get any closer. But in reality, I should have been getting pictures from a lot more angles to get a better idea of the sort of anatomy. Again, I guess I also sort of talked about, I think I could have incorporated the images better. I always think there's room for me to grow in my backgrounds. Backgrounds have always been the thing I've struggled the most with, although I do like some of these abstract brushstrokes I went in with in the end. I thought they added some more of that sort of like right angle metropolis city moment. I don't know, that sounded really pretentious and but in a stupid way where I was being dumb. Yeah, in terms of how I painted the deer, I don't really have that many critiques for myself. I think it turned out really cute. I really like some of the blue like outline / cast shadow on it, even if it's some of the parts it doesn't really make sense. I think it turned out looking cool. Kind of obsessed with this color palette. Somebody also mentioned that they liked the color palette, which yeah, blue and brown is one of my favorites. Kind of a banger. Yeah, that's about all I have to say for the piece. Oh my goodness, the big reveal. What the flip? I'm kind of obsessed. I kind of love this piece. I'm putting it in the big gallery show at my school. Yeah, I kind of love it. Oh my goodness. Sorry, that was actually the worst sound I think I've ever made in my life. Anyways, I don't know if I'm allowed to show this, but reference photo versus the final piece. Yeah. Like I said, I'm actually very, very happy with the way this turned out. I think it's probably one of the best paintings I've ever made, if not the best. Which is always a good feeling. It's always a good feeling to actually enjoy what you've made. If you like this video or this painting, or you want to see more of my art school journey or more of my work, please feel free to like, comment, or subscribe. I really appreciate it. I love answering comments and questions. It's super fun. I love you all so much. Goodbye!